guys, Chris from Well Connect. We're here in the Brisbane workshop, here with Desmond from Third. We're just going to have a bit of a discussion around ceramics. So most of you guys probably would have heard of ceramics, but some people haven't. So we're just going to run you through it, and the difference between your aluminium oxide sort of grains compared to ceramics, and sort of how that's going to be might be a solution for you, or how it might work for you, how it might not work for you. So Des, if you could run us through, mate.
Yeah, sure, Chris. Look, one of the oldest grains that's been out there since when abrasives started is aluminium oxide. It's the oldest grain that's out there. It's on all your cutting, grinding wheels, sanding discs, linishing belts, and that. There's aluminium oxide has always been there. And of course, the guys out there, what they're doing is they're putting more pressure on us, wanting products to perform better in different applications and do things a little better. So aluminium oxide is still really good in some applications, but there are areas where people want to go with something that's a little more aggressive, a little quicker. Everyone wants to save time.
Yeah.
Time is money, as we all know. Everyone goes, oh bugger, I need to do this quick.
Yeah.
I want to get it done quick. I don't want to stand there all day grinding away.
Yeah.
So yes, a lot of the new technology that's coming out is all going towards the ceramic grain, which is man-made. Ceramic is man-made. Okay. It's not a natural resource that comes out the ground. It's actually made. So hence the reason when it comes to ceramic, we can shape the grains, we can form them a certain way to perform the way we want them to perform as well.
Yep.
And we can orientate them. So the advantage with using things like sanding discs, as you can see that I've got here, we've got sanding discs, which a lot of people are familiar with, and I'll show you the different types, is that we can actually orientate the grain when we put it on the disc. So when we make these discs, we actually, can put the disc in a position that it's putting your grain where you can get the best performance, and it's a little more aggressive as well. So that's the advantage compared to a normal grinding wheel. Grinding wheels are old technology, okay, where you can't orientate your grain, so hence the reason you don't get the performance as you would with a sanding disc. And if I told you 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you're going to be grinding with a sanding disc, guys would be laughing at me and going, "Oh, are you serious? I can't grind with a sanding disc." Well, guess what? You can now grind with sanding discs, okay? So yeah. I like to call them sort of a grind and finishing disc. It takes the weld off, and you can actually dress it and finish it up really well. So ceramic comes in different shapes and forms in the grain, but the best way to explain it would be, and I'll give you a quick rundown. Aluminium oxide grain, which is that one, is a more sort of rounded grain, okay? Rounded shape, okay?
A bit like sand.
Yeah, like a sand. It's what it is. It's like a sand. So more rounded, so it doesn't cut in as aggressive. It normally gives you a slightly better finish, okay? Ceramic, the best way to explain ceramic is it's like multiple teeth. You've got claws, almost like claws digging in, and you've got these claws digging into your material, pulling a lot of material off. So what you'll do is you'll normally find a lot more scratches on your metal as well sometimes. So in saying that, ceramic is great, but just be aware, guys, ceramic is where everyone wants to go, but it's not for every application. You've got to really look at your application. And where it comes in critical as well is, where do we put those grinders, Chris? Oh, yeah, they are. The grinders are important as well, because there's all these factors that determine how your product performs. And a lot of times people don't take it into consideration. I've got two grinders here, two 5-inch grinders, or 125mm grinders, but as you can see, maybe you can see on the body size, that one's got a bigger body, okay? That's a 1400 watt grinder, and this one here, if I remember correctly, was about 850 watts. So the power of your grinder does determine the performance of your abrasives as well. That'll make a huge difference on your abrasives. Yep. Rule of thumb, generally if you got 1200 watts plus, if you're using a 1200 watts up grinder, you'll find that your abrasives will last longer. You'll actually find that they'll cut easier, you'll grind easier as well. So having a higher wattage grinder is always highly recommended, okay? Yep. Especially when you go into ceramics, it is recommended that you use grinders with a bit more power behind them, okay? So what I've put down here is just a couple of different discs, and They all got different colors, as you can see as well. There's various different, there's green, there's gray, there's red. Okay, in them there's like a dark green as well. Those are dyes that get put in them, and basically it's just a color that goes in them. There's no set standard of what the color should be. Around the world, people do normally use the red more for ceramic, but most manufacturers will put in whatever they want. Okay, so I've got different applications here where I'm showing you. The red one is just a normal standard sanding disc or fiber disc as we all know it. That's a 36 grit. Now, when you look at this a little closer, you can run your finger over it. You'll feel that feels like a 36 grit, feels pretty sharp.
Yeah.
But then when I grab you these with the new grains that we've developed, okay, that's a sanding disc as well, exactly the same as that one, 36 grit in that as well. But you'll see that will be a lot coarser. You'll feel it's got a sharper feel to it compared to that one feeling a little more rounded. Ceramic grains, but a little different. The backing generally on that's a little thicker as well for grinding as well. Okay, I'll bring it up a little closer maybe. If guys want to have a look there, I don't know if you can see it, but it does protrude a little more. Okay, the one on the right, your grain is a little sharper on that as well. Both are 36 grit. Okay, but depending entirely what you're doing with your application. So with the one on the right, the Actorox as we call it, you can see over here, I've brought that in, you can see that the grain is a pyramid formed grain, okay, and we can orientate that you got the sharp end facing up all the time on that as well. Okay, so we do make various different grains in ceramic. Different scenarios where that goes on a backing pad with a nut on the front. Then we do them as well with the same grain. This is just called Victor, just to separate the two. That is like a sanding disc that fits on your 5-inch grinder. So what that does, the backing pad just screws straight onto your grinder. Okay, what's unique is the backing pad. The backing pad actually draws air through it, okay, and that reduces your heat on your disc and reduces the heat on your workpiece as well. The advantage you have about that is your nut sits on the back of the disc. The nut doesn't sit on the front. So when I mount that on, all I do is line it up, really straightforward, push it down with my palm, rotate it, and the disc is locked in onto the backing pad. So I can run that fairly flat as well. I don't have to worry about a nut getting in the way. So that's some of the new technology stuff that's out there. Okay, really easy to change, turn it, pull it off, and change your disc out when required. Okay, compared to having to take a nut off. Now,
yeah, I was just going to say that you've probably got a little bit more disc to work with there too.
Correct. So you're not wasting as much of your disc. 100%. You're not wasting because you use. Often when you run with a nut in there, you're worried about not hitting the nut, so you only use a certain portion, and you're wasting some of the disc as well.
And flat grinds, you can sort of get it nice and flat.
Correct. You don't want to go 100% flat. When you're grinding, you don't want to go flat because you've got to remove the swarf.
Yeah.
So you've got to go in. It's normally about 5 or 6 degree angle that we recommend. So you want to have a bit of a lift so you can at least get rid of that swarf that you're pulling off when you're grinding with that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing. We do them. Some guys don't want to use them on a sanding disc. We do them what we call a solid. It's a solid backing that you've got in it. So the advantage about that, it's a little more rigid when you push in it and jam it into something. It doesn't rip. You got to remember, guys, they're sanding discs. People do tend to forget it is a sanding disc, where sanding disc can get ripped when you run on. Where that, because it's on a solid backing, it's a little more rigid and it doesn't tear as quick as you would when you put that onto a backing.
A bit more forgiving.
Correct, a little more forgiving. So there's horses for courses, if you want to call it, different applications depending what you want to do. But hence the reason there's a range that is available in these. It's not just one ceramic fits all. You need some various different options depending what you're doing on the application. And then of course, same belts are made up on those as well. We do make them up. I'll just open it up. You get ceramic belts as well, which come in those. They come in various different sizes. In your ceramic grains, we make the belts to size depending what you need. So if anyone asks you, Chris, you know, you can make the belt whatever size is required for them. We make it to suit your tool. with that. We've got a conversion plant in our Melbourne office,
Yep.
where head office is, and make the belts to order as required. So you can get ceramic belts as well. The advantage with the furred belts as well is when we make them, that you can run them bi-directional. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got arrows on them. It depends on the joint. So depending on the joints, we do a butt joint. So on a butt joint, you can run them multi-directional. So you can get a bit more life out of your belt as well. Run it in one direction, flick it over, and then run it the other way, and you get a little more life, yeah, out of your belts.
No, that's perfect, Des. And well, we've had a few customers convert over from your aluminium oxide
Yep.
belts to ceramic belts, and they're saying they get 2 to 3 times the life out of them. So
Well, that'll be true. Yeah, 100% correct. Because what happens is, because you've got a grain that's working with you and it's fairly sharp, you're not having to work it as hard, okay? So hence the reason the guys find they don't have to put as much pressure maybe on it as well. And by not having to put as much pressure on it, they find that it cuts a little. It's assisting, it's working with them, and it's helping them cut the material or
yeah,
deburring a little easier.
the belt's doing the work instead of the person.
Correct. So you're not tiring yourself out, and that's where a lot of these new products are going. All the new technology is looking at less vibration, less noise, less dust, and then we talk about haptic, which is your pins and needles or carpet tunnel, as a lot of people call it.
Yep.
Eliminating or minimizing that as much as possible, and there's a whole lot of things that can do that too to help eliminate that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much gives you an idea of ceramics. If you ever want Des or myself to come out to your workshop and have a play with it, more than happy to come out and give you a look. So give us a bell. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one. See ya.
Cheers.